This weekend is really, really going to be interesting because just a little while ago, we have received news that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg of the U.S. Supreme Court has died. But this is a real big deal for more reasons than one. Because you guys remember when there was a Supreme Court vacancy towards the end of Obama's presidency? A lot of people, even if they remember that event, they really misremember how it went down. Because how they played it off back then was, Obama was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do the honorable thing. I'll let the next president pick whoever's the next Supreme Court justice, nominate the next justice. I'll let the next person handle this. Let's make this an election issue and whatnot. Let the people decide. And that's true. He did pretty much say that. That did pretty much happen. But why? It's because the Republicans had control of the Senate at the time. There is no way Obama was able to get anything through. So the Democrats, while Obama was in office, they implemented or they pulled what we refer to as the nuclear option. And what that basically did was remove the filibuster, or not really so much remove it, but make it so you only need like 51 votes to override a filibuster, not the usual 60, if I remember correctly. And that's why Trump's Supreme Court nominees have been able to get through, even though the Democrats tried to stonewall it, because they can't anymore. The filibuster's gone. So look at the situation right now. So back when this happened to Obama, yeah, he was in the last few months of his presidency, but the Republicans had control of the Senate. Nowadays, Trump is in the last few months of the first term of his presidency, and the Republicans have control of the Senate. Trump doesn't have to even play around. He can nominate anybody, and as long as he can get 51 Republican senators on board with his pick, he can flip the court. He can turn the court solidly red right now. Will he? I don't know. I hope so. He probably will. This would be the most hilarious meltdown in history if he does. So I'm going to have so much content for my channel. And oh, man, this is going to be so good. But point is, the reason I brought up that little history lesson with Obama is this is a completely different situation. I've already seen people all over my social media like, oh, Trump should do the honorable thing like Obama did and leave the choice up to whoever wins the next election. And motherfucker, the only reason he gracefully ceded the way he did was to make himself look good in a fight he can't win. Because the Republicans had control of the Senate. There is no way they were going to let any of his nominees through. None. They weren't going to do it. They couldn't do it. So Obama actually did the smart thing. He kind of ceded the point in a way that made him look like the good guy, like he made the honorable choice. But you bet your fucking ass, if the Democrats were in control of the Senate at the time, he would have just appointed someone, and they would have just rammed them through regardless what the Republicans said, just like they did with Obamacare. If Trump does that right now, fuck, it's going to be hilarious, man. All right, let's get through the article. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the demure firebrand who in her 80s became a legal, cultural, and feminazi icon, died Friday. The Supreme Court announced her death, saying the cause was complications from metastatic cancer of the pancreas. That's how we knew it was game over, by the way. As soon as we knew that she had pancreatic cancer, yeah, she's dead. If you ever get diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, you're dead. It's just a matter of if you're dead in a few months or a few years. Even fucking Steve Jobs, he couldn't survive that shit. And he's rich. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg couldn't survive this shit. And she had, like, she had the entire Democratic Party doing everything they can to keep her alive. Wow, this is actually just another strike against the Democrats when it comes to elder abuse. This woman in her final years should have been enjoying life, spending time with her family, but nope. Just to own the Republicans, she could not resign. As soon as Trump won the last election, she knew that she was going to die in the Supreme Court. You know, if Hillary would have won, she would have resigned like immediately, just so she can enjoy the last few years of her life. But no, Trump won, and oh my God, we can't have Trump appointing a Supreme Court justice. So yeah, you got to take one for the team, Ruth. You're going to have to stay there. You're going to have to keep doing that while you're 87 years old and dying of cancer. You need to hold on to that seat like your life depends on it, because ours does. Yeah, and it's the same thing with Biden. He is, oh God, like he should be getting treatment for his dementia and enjoying the last few years of his life. But nope, they're parading him around like a puppet. This is elder abuse, it really is, but I doubt anyone's going to be held accountable for this. The court, in a statement, said Ginsburg died at her home in Washington, surrounded by family. She was 87. Our nation has lost a justice of historic stature. I mean, it's true, but remember, Hitler had historic stature too. That Chief Justice John Roberts, who, by the way, is probably the biggest piece of shit on the Supreme Court. This motherfucker, oh my God, he's probably the biggest mistake the Republicans ever made, was appointing John Roberts to the Supreme Court. Because this fucking piece of shit could not care less about the Constitution. And Rekieta did a pretty good analysis of his voting habits. He doesn't care about the Constitution. All he cares about is how he predicts history is going to look back on his votes. He is so preoccupied with how history's going to remember him, or how do they always say it? Being on the right side of history, that he can't be bothered to actually uphold the fucking Constitution like he was put there to do. Yeah, John Roberts, this motherfucker, I would actually rather have him off the court than Ruth Bader Ginsburg, to be perfectly honest with you. Even when Ruth Bader Ginsburg was alive, he was the biggest piece of fucking shit on that bench, by far. But my personal opinion on that piece of shit aside, we at the Supreme Court have lost a cherished colleague. Today we mourn, but with confidence that future generations will remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg as we knew her, a tireless, resolute champion of social justice. The architect of the legal fight for women's rights in the 1970s, Ginsburg subsequently served 27 years on the nation's highest court, becoming its most prominent member. Her death will inevitably set in motion what promises to be a nasty and tumultuous political battle over who will succeed her, and it thrusts the Supreme Court vacancy into the spotlight of the presidential campaign. No, it doesn't. The Republicans control the Senate. Trump could nominate anybody right now, and as long as 51 Republicans on the Senate agree with his nomination, actually, no, all you need is 50, really. If it's a split vote, then Pence will be the tiebreaker, and we know which side Pence is going to take. So just days before her death, her strength waned. Ginsburg dictated this statement to her granddaughter, Clara Spera. My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed. So... She knew what was to come. Ginsburg's death will have profound consequences for the court and the country. Inside the court, not only is the leader of the liberal wing gone, but with the court about to open to a new term, the Chief Justice no longer holds the controlling vote in closing contested cases. Even this on its own is a good thing. Yeah, though Roberts has a consistently conservative record in most cases. Yeah, I love how even NPR understands this. Like, yeah, this dude, he played the Republicans hard. He pretended to be a conservative, got the nomination, got in, and then on all the biggest issues, he either doesn't hear them or votes for the left. So you guys... Yeah, actually, let's just read the rest of this paragraph. So he has split from his fellow conservatives on a few important ones this year, casting his vote to the liberals, for instance, to protect, at least temporarily, the so-called dreamers from deportation by the Trump administration, to uphold a major abortion precedent, and to uphold bans on large church gatherings during the beer virus pandemic. But with Ginsburg gone, there's no clear court majority for those outcomes. There is one more very important thing you guys got to remember, though. There's also the fact that if it's a big hot button issue like gun control, he just refuses to hear the case. It's very rare these days for Second Amendment issues to even be heard by the Supreme Court. Because, like I said, this fucking piece of shit only cares about how history is gonna see him. So he's making a lot of the same mistakes that SJWs in general make, where they assume that they're on the right side of history, and then one day they find out, oops, we made a mistake. So he's one of those types. So he knows that if a Second Amendment issue made it to the Supreme Court, his cred as a conservative is going to be completely gone if he votes by how he historically wants to be seen. So he's just not allowing this shit to be heard. Him and the 4 more liberal-leaning justices, they usually just say, nah, we're just not going to hear the case. Oh, it's a Second Amendment case? We're just not going to hear it. Let the appeals court ruling stand. But now Trump has a chance to fix this. So the upcoming political battle. Indeed, a week after the upcoming presidential election, the court is, for the 3rd time, scheduled to hear a challenge brought by Republicans to the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. In current year -8, the court upheld the law with a 5-4 ruling, with Roberts casting the deciding vote. You guys noticing a pattern here? And writing the opinion of the majority. But this time, the outcome may well be different. That's because Ginsburg's death gives Republicans the chance to tighten their grip on the court with another Trump appointment, so conservatives would have a 6-3 majority. No, they'd have a 5-4 majority. Because that fucking piece of shit Roberts, I effectively list him as one of the left-leaning judges at this point. He may sometimes, vote with the right just to say, hey, I'm still one of you guys, but nah. Now, that motherfucker, I can't wait until he's off the bench. Holy shit. Yeah, so finally, we have a chance to flip it 5-4 from the 4-5 it is right now. And that would mean that even a defection on the right would leave conservatives enough votes to prevail in the Obamacare case and many others. At the center of the battle to achieve that will be Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. In current year -4, he took a step unprecedented in modern times. He refused for nearly a year to allow any consideration of Obama's Supreme Court nominee. Yeah, and remember, that's what I said at the beginning of this rant, this article. The Republicans had control of the Senate, and they knew that Obama's time was up because he was on his 2nd term. So they just stonewalled, like, yeah, you know what? We're going to take our chances that our guy is going to win the next election, and we're just going to delay the vote until after he wins. And that's the only reason Obama was forced to go along with it. He didn't do the honorable thing and let the next president decide. No, he was forced into it. Back then, McConnell's justification was the upcoming presidential election, which he said would allow voters a chance to weigh in on what kind of justice they wanted. But now the tables have turned. McConnell has made clear he will not follow the same course. Instead, he will try to immediately push through a Trump nominee so as to ensure a conservative justice to fill Ginsburg's liberal shoes, even if Trump were to lose his re-election bid. Yup, at least these guys understand what's about to happen. And if you guys think the reeing from 2016 was bad, just wait till you see the reeing of this Supreme Court nomination combined with Trump's re-election. Oh my God, this is going to be the salt mine of the century right here. Asked what he would do in circumstances such as these, McConnell said, oh, we'd fill it. So what happens in the coming weeks will be a bare-knuckle politics writ large on the stage of a presidential election. It will be a fight Ginsburg had hoped to avoid. No, if she really hoped to avoid this fight, she would have just resigned. She would have just retired. But no, this was all about keeping her seat warm for the next Democrat. And this, so Supreme Court justices in the U.S., again, for those of you outside the country, this is a lifetime appointment. When you are appointed to the Supreme Court, you're there until you die, unless you choose to retire early and leave. So a lot of times, like when it's a Republican president and the Republicans control the Senate, that's usually when the oldest Republican-leaning judges will resign and retire, rather, so they can be replaced by a Republican. And the same thing with the Democrats, right? So Ruth Bader Ginsburg was banking on Hillary winning the election so then she could retire. You know she would have retired had Hillary won. But that didn't happen. Now she's dead. and Trump gets to replace her with a conservative. Oh man, I am so excited to tell you guys right now that finally, after about a year of build-up and shilling, we have launched Blade Devil on Indiegogo, and so far it is doing so well thanks to awesome people like you. If you haven't backed it yet, then please check the links in the description and check out Blade Devil on Indiegogo. You will not be disappointed. Looking forward to seeing you there.